Have you ever felt like you just don't fit in, especially at school? Like no matter how hard you try, the grades just don't reflect your effort? Well, this is the story of a boy named Leo, and if you've ever felt that way, his story might change how you see everything. Leo is known around school for one thing, failing. His report cards were a disaster, covered in more red ink than a teacher's correction pen. In class, when a question was asked, all eyes would eventually fall on Leo, followed by a collective sigh when he'd just shake his head, unable to answer. His classmates would whisper, and some would even snicker. To them, and to most of his teachers, Leo was simply the boy who couldn't keep up. He was labeled slow, uninterested, and a failure. The weight of that label was heavy, and it followed him everywhere he went. But what nobody knew, what nobody saw, was Leo's secret world. Away from the classrooms and the textbooks, Leo had a sanctuary, his sketchbook. This wasn't just any sketchbook filled with doodles. It was a portal to another universe, a universe born entirely from his mind. Page after page was filled with the most incredible, intricate designs. He drew machines that could clean the oceans, fantastical creatures with wings made of starlight, and entire sprawling cities that defied the laws of physics, with buildings that twisted towards the sky like growing vines. In his world, there were no right or wrong answers, only endless possibilities. He wasn't solving for X. He was designing a new form of sustainable energy. He wasn't memorizing historical dates. He was building civilizations from the ground up. Leo wasn't dumb. Not even close. His mind just spoke a different language, a language of creativity, innovation, and imagination that his school's curriculum simply didn't understand. He saw the world not in terms of facts to be memorized, but as a giant puzzle to be tinkered with, improved, and reimagined. His sketchbook was the evidence, a testament to a brilliant mind that was being completely overlooked. Then, one crisp autumn morning, everything started to change. A new teacher walked into Leo's classroom. His name was Mr. Harrison, and he was different. He didn't have the weary, tired look of the other teachers. He had a spark in his eye, a genuine curiosity that made you feel like he was actually listening when you spoke. He didn't just teach from the book. He asked questions that made you think, really think, about the world around you. Harrison noticed Leo right away. Not because he was failing, but because he was quiet. He saw the way Leo's eyes would drift towards the window, not out of boredom, but as if he was watching a movie that only he could see. One afternoon, after class, he saw Leo hunched over his desk, furiously sketching. Most teachers would have told him to put the sketchbook away and focus on his homework, but Mr. Harrison was different. He walked over quietly and, instead of scolding him, he asked, "What are you working on there, Leo?" Leo, startled, quickly tried to hide his drawings, expecting the usual lecture. "It's nothing," he mumbled. "But Mr." Harrison gently asked to see. Hesitantly, Leo pushed the sketchbook across the desk as Mr. Harrison turned the pages. His expression wasn't one of disappointment. It was one of pure astonishment. He saw the detailed mechanics, the imaginative scope, the raw, unfiltered genius pouring from every page. He saw what everyone else had missed this summer. Harrison looked up from the book, and for the first time, someone looked at Leo not with pity, but with admiration. He didn't mention the failed tests or the missed assignments. Instead, he pointed to a drawing of a complex, miniature windmill. "This is incredible, Leo," he said. "The design. It's brilliant. Have you ever thought about actually building one of your inventions?" Leo was stunned into silence. To build it? No one had ever suggested his drawings were anything more than a distraction, Smir. Harrison then made a proposal that would alter the course of Leo's life. "Forget the next history essay for a moment," he said with a smile. "I have a special project for you. I want you to build a model of this windmill. That will be your assignment. Show us how it works." For the first time, Leo felt a flicker of hope. He wasn't just being tolerated, he was being challenged in a way that excited him. He felt seen. Truly seen. That one conversation was the spark that ignited a fire within him. He raced home that day, clutching his sketchbook not as a secret to be hidden, but as a blueprint for his future. The project became Leo's entire world. He poured every ounce of his being into it. The garage, once a dusty storage space, transformed into his personal laboratory. He spent hours upon hours there, surrounded by scraps of wood, wires, small motors, and his precious blueprints. He learned about gears, about generators, about aerodynamics not from a textbook, but by doing, by experimenting, by failing and trying again. His hands, usually idle in class, were now constantly in motion, cutting, soldering, and assembling. His mind, which often wandered during lectures, was now laser-focused on a single, exhilarating goal. This wasn't just a school project for Leo. It was a chance to prove, not just to his teachers and classmates, but to himself, that his ideas had value. It was his opportunity to translate the language of his imagination into the physical world. His parents, who had long worried about his grades, saw a new light in their son's eyes. They saw his passion and dedication, and they supported him, helping him find the materials he needed. Finally, the day of the presentation arrived. The classroom buzzed with the usual chatter, but when Leo walked to the front carrying a large, cloth-covered object, a hush fell over the room. His classmates exchanged curious glances. What could the boy who failed every test possibly have to show them? Leo's heart was pounding in his chest, but as he stood next to Mr. Harrison, who gave him an encouraging nod, a sense of calm washed over him. He took a deep breath and pulled away the cloth. There on the table stood a perfectly crafted, miniature windmill. It was a work of art, with delicate blades and a sturdy, elegant structure. But it was more than just a model. Leo took a small fan, pointed it at the windmill, and switched it on. As the breeze hit the blades, they began to turn, slowly at first, and faster and faster. A small wire ran from the windmill to a tiny light bulb. And then it happened. The bulb flickered to life, casting a warm, steady glow. The classroom was completely silent. Jaws dropped. The kids who used to laugh at him were now staring in wide-eyed awe. They weren't just looking at a clever project. They were witnessing a moment of pure magic, a moment of genius revealed. Leo, the boy they thought was dumb, had just created a working machine that generated its own electricity. Mr. Harrison stood up, a proud smile spreading across his face. He put a hand on Leo's shoulder and addressed the class. "What you're seeing," he began, his voice filled with emotion, "is a perfect example of why grades are not the only measure of intelligence." He explained that intelligence isn't just about memorizing facts for a test. It's about creativity. It's about seeing a problem and imagining a solution. It's about curiosity, passion, and the courage to build something new. He looked at Leo and then back at the class. Leo has a gift that can't be graded on a report card, but a gift that has the power to change the world. From that day on, everything changed for Leo. He was no longer the boy who failed every test. His story became a legend that echoed through the school's hallways for years to come. He became a symbol of hope, a living reminder that everyone, absolutely everyone, has a unique talent. A special kind of brilliance just waiting for the right moment and the right person to help it shine. Teachers began looking for the Leos in their own classrooms, searching for hidden talents beyond the test scores. And what about Leo? He never did become a straight-A student in the traditional sense. But it didn't matter anymore. He had found his confidence. He understood his own worth. He continued to invent, to create, and to dream. The boy who was once silenced by a system that didn't understand him grew up to be a world-renowned inventor. His creations, once confined to the pages of a sketchbook, were now real, tangible innovations that helped people all over the globe, changing the world with his brilliant, unconventional ideas. Leo's story teaches us a powerful lesson. If you feel like you're struggling, if you feel like you don't fit the mold, remember, Leo, your unique way of seeing the world is not a weakness, it's your superpower. Don't let anyone dim your light. Find your sketchbook, whatever that may be for you, and fill it with your dreams. The world is waiting for your genius. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that celebrates the different ways we all shine. See you next time.